the course, we were just trying to come up with a much more simpler name, so we just chose Mud Dancers. So, looking around, you could see a lot of other teams were formed, and this was by no means a race. Yes, you were running against other teams, but you eventually would work with those teams once you get to certain obstacles. You would hit an obstacle, you'd run about half a mile to 3/4 of a mile, then you'd get to the next one. So there were 2 laps total, and the type of obstacles we encountered, it was such a wide range. It was incredible. So one of them that I hated the most, that I've told the team that this was my least favorite obstacle, it's a big dumpster full of water and ice. Pure ice cubes. So they had an optional challenge you could do at this one where you get fully submerged, meaning your head is below the water from wall to wall, and the dumpster was about the size of a garage, a typical average single home garage, and there were nets coming down and going back up, so eventually you had to get your head underwater no matter what.
Oh.
So this one I hated the most because yes, it was hot, it was humid, but it hurt so freaking bad. And of course, 5 seconds after you get out of it, you're hot and sweaty again, you wish you were back in there. So
Wait, so why did you describe it as a dumpster? Was it an actual dumpster?
It was an actual dumpster.
Whoa.
If I remember correctly, it certainly looked like a dumpster, but basically they just cleaned it out, threw in some water, and they were constantly bringing in ice. They were constantly taking big bags of ice, pouring all the ice in there, spreading it all out, and it was gruesome. And another one of the most terrifying ones I was afraid of doing was the electrical wiring fence. Or not the fence, the field, where basically these wires and strings were being hung from high up, and they would shock you if you ran through. Now, I don't know exactly the level of shock or the, I don't know what is
the voltage?
What's yeah, the voltage. I don't know how high that was, but
900.
everyone, something like that, but everyone who ran this obstacle basically just said, you know what, just run through it. Just full speed ahead, run through it. You'll get to the ending in no time, because it wasn't a long distance. Now, of course, there were a couple of people who took one step at a time, and they tried to avoid the wires as much as they could. That was not the correct way to do it, because the type of pain that you get, it's not painful, it's more uncomfortable than anything.
Yeah.
And you don't know where you're feeling that pain. You'll feel this unknown shock somewhere on your body. It'll be so uncomfortable you don't know what to do. And so your body will react, and then it'll push you into another wire, which will shock you, and then you'll just do that all the way through the course.
Oh.
And to add to that, you are, of course, covered in mud, you're wet, and at this part, you're running through water. So it's the trifecta, is really what it is. So the event was incredible. Leading up to the event, I did not train at all, meaning I did not go for runs. I did not do any weightlifting or any sort of aerobics or anything like that. So overall, the event was extremely worth it. Going into it, I didn't think, 10 miles, why did we pick the 10-mile one? Because you can also do a half Tough Mudder, or you could just do a 5K, where it's just the fewer obstacles, less distance. But no, we went full balls to the wall, 10 miles, 22 obstacles. We did the whole thing. And at the end of it, we were so glad that we did.
How are you not dead?
I'm definitely sore, but I mean...
That sounded like BDSM but with running.
Yeah. My least favorite type of BDSM.
A little bit, yeah. But, at the event yesterday, they mentioned there was roughly 9,000 people that signed up yesterday.
Wow.
So, and they had another one going today. And one thing we saw was there were people who signed up for yesterday and today. There are people who just live for this. So if anyone is interested,
Wow. I barely like running in general, and just adding this sounds awful.
I hate running.
You don't even need to run. You can walk the entire course. You're not timed unless you time yourself. And one thing we also learned yesterday was they actually had their first episode of a series that they're showing on CBS, and it's called Tough Mudder X, where that's the competition part of it. So the one we ran, we weren't timed. We started at 12:30, and we ended up getting finished at about 5:10. So over 4.5 hours it took us to do that whole thing.
Wow.
So
What was your ranking?
We didn't get ranked.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Nope. So it's basically, if you finish it, you completed it, you get a shirt, you get a headband, and you get a beer.
Nice.
If you were over 21, you get a beer.
All right. Never mind. I'm back in. I'm back in.
So
I can run short distance, but long distance sucks. But I guess if there's a beer at the end, why not?
Well, you just do the beer run where you keep running laps, and every lap you drink a beer, and then yeah.
I've heard horror stories of that. Though.
Do it for charity.
It's beer afterwards, not during. Oh God.
So to go off of your mud run, I actually did one last year, and 2 years before last year. They hold one in Duluth, except it's in the backyard of a church, and children are allowed to do it. So it's very mellow in comparison to but despite that, I still finished 176th out of 178 people. And then I figured out that the two people that finished after me, they actually just quit and left in the middle of the race. So I was the last person to cross the finish line. But that was because I had a bit of an asthma attack in the middle.
Oh boy.
So I had to sit down and rest for a while. And also I didn't train at all for any of it. But yeah, half of the course was just pure mud. So you're wading through this mud, and all these like super skinny guys who run as a hobby, they just kind of glide across the top of the mud pits like Jesus walking on water. And it's like, I hate you so much.
Which
can't
makes sense
see my
because they were at a church.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we also had a garbage. What do you call that? Dumpster. We had a dumpster for it, filled with lukewarm water, which is really gross. And then also ducks. So no ice,
Ducks?
no netting. Yeah, just a bunch of little rubber ducks. So as I was going through it, I'm like, well, I'm going to stuff a bunch of these in my bra because...
The ducks?
Yeah. So I stole a bunch of ducks. Those little tiny mini rubber ducks.
At a church?
Yeah. I didn't have
There
any
are kids
pockets.
present.
I didn't care. There are people getting half naked because, like, some people didn't, like, have the spandex idea or the Speedo idea. And they had, you know, their baggy t-shirts that would just get saturated with mud, and then they'd take them off. So there was basically just a little shower party happening in one corner of the parking lot. So yeah. It was fun. It was just very difficult. I did much better at the one 2 years ago, but I could never imagine doing like the full Tough Murder, because this little mini church kids one was tough enough for me to finish.
Did they also have shock wire?
No, they didn't. It probably would have added to.
Okay.
Scary.
So it's not as painful or whatever. Because I was just imagining, like, they called this the, like, Jesus loves you Tough Mudder, and, like, the little children were, like, washing away their sins while getting zapped. Like, oh, it's okay, Jesus loves you. Oh, okay, I'll keep going. Oh, God.
You have to finish, or you don't go to heaven.
Oh,
Jesus
God.
doesn't love you. You must finish the race.
It's so competitive.
There's like a little pile of children who didn't finish the race.
Oh, no.
And they're all sad, and they're like, my parents left me here.
Oh, my God. The worst Tough Mudder. I choose Brendan's instead.
No, they did have... you had to like walk through a field of bubbles. I'm not kidding. They just had a bubble machine going. There was a little swamp.
Yeah.
That you.
Shrek was there.
Nice.
Yeah, he was there saying,
Shrek to me.
Jesus
Saying
loves you,
Jesus loves you.
but I love you more.
Exactly.
No, there was like the whole like you have to cross the log. There was a slip and slide down a hill, and there was just a crap ton of mud. There was the army crawling underneath a netting, so you just had to crawl through some mud. You had to climb up these really tall triangular pieces of wood and basically just kind of run and jump and grab the top of it and pull yourself up. And me and my friend, she's pretty short, we both looked at it and we both went, nah, and then walked around it because you could do that.
Brennan's definitely sounds a little tougher than the bubble field. Mm-hmm. They kind of replaced that with shock wire.
So metal. I'm just glad you didn't break your knee on the first portion of it. That's what me and Hannah were really worried about. So.
No, it was very, very difficult to get harmed. There was a couple people who rolled their ankles, and a couple people who at a couple obstacles you had to carry people on your shoulders.
Oh.
Some of them you had to carry 2 people on your shoulders. So it's a lot of the medical staff there were more concerned with dehydration because they had water stations between a few of the obstacles on the course, and some people would forego that for a better time. Don't do that.
Wow.
Those are there for a reason. So, but anyways, just to quickly recap, incredibly worth it, and a few pointers that I would like to say, as someone who's finally done it, is make sure that you wear tight clothing. If you go and you're in spandex or something, or if you decide to wear shorts, make sure it's something that is extremely tight to your body. Because if you do want to run after getting fully submerged in mud, that mud really bags down your clothing. So, and you don't want to run with that extra weight. If you're already 8 miles into it and you got 2 miles to go, and you don't want that extra weight on there, make sure that you are in very comfortable and very easy clothing.
Or you could just be naked.
Well, I didn't see any naked people, but with all the mud that's on your body, you kind of do look kind of naked. But second pointer I would say is if you do and are interested in signing up, make sure just wait until there is a deal. There is always going to be a deal somewhere. I did not take advantage of a deal because I had signed up and I did get a 10% discount for referring a friend, but 3 days after I signed up, they come out with a coupon code saying, hey, if you register now, use this coupon code, get $50 off. 3 days too soon before I could do that. And there was no way that they could retroactively apply that coupon code, and so I was out $50. So be patient and wait for a good deal. And I would say my third pointer is get as many people as you can to go with you. This is something that is extremely team-oriented. Do not expect to go there and do stuff yourself. Make sure that you get a group of friends or find a group of people that you are willing to work with once you get there. So that being said, highly recommended, and my 5-word summary would be get mud in your shoes. Do not be afraid to get dirty because you will get dirty.
Bring duct tape. Duct tape your shoes to your feet.
Yeah, okay. So, looks like we've got our 3 covered, and looks like we do have our first use of the hashtag NTNT Try This. That one goes out to Ramaland9.
Thank you. Ooh.
His tweet says, you're welcome. Hashtag diehard, hashtag NTNT Try This. And the game that he is recommending is Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza for the PC.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's fair. I think he was trying to say, based on what we were talking about before with that Die Hard arcade one, I am trying to see if that is the same game.
I'll still play it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because who's got game for this coming week?
Moi.
That is
there cool. You go.
Yep.
That would be a good one.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you for using the hashtag. Follow us on Twitter. We would be very appreciative. At NTNT Podcast is our Twitter handle. You can also listen to us on Spreaker, which is where we're currently hosting. And I'm trying to get all of our podcasts up on YouTube. Otherwise, you can listen to us on SoundCloud.
Suggestions are definitely welcome. Games, movies, especially lifestyle things. I think that's one of the hardest categories to try and do something new that's that's a different lifestyle choice. So completely welcome to suggestions.
So it sounds like, Carly, you will take up